It's a laundromat and hair salon at 107 Cheyenne Street, but damage does not appear to be serious. There's no word yet on the cause. There's a major fire damage at a North Fargo home. Crews were called out around 5 last night to the 800 block of 28th Street North.
There are no reports of any injuries, and we have not yet heard anything about a cause of that fire. Fargo's school superintendent is recommending the firing of a teacher at a South High School, and the board will meet next week to consider it. Kevin Kennedy has been under investigation for alleged inappropriate behavior in the classroom. Some of the things that he is accused of include asking a student about sending nude photos, giving a student a neck massage, talking about a student's grades to others, and then asking a student if they had ADHD.
The school district received a complaint about Kennedy crossing boundaries and creating an uncomfortable learning environment. South High School Principal Todd Birch told him in a letter last October of the complaint about that massage that based on the nature of the parental concern, Kennedy needs to be very aware of physical boundary expectations as a teacher.
6:51 now on this Friday morning. Let's get a check of that fast track forecast. A little cool, but you know, I'll deal with that beautiful sunrise we have, Lisa.
Gorgeous this morning. We've got that nice, beautiful orange glow, making it look like it's warm out there at least. And it's maybe a foretelling what's going to happen later today because we're looking at a much milder afternoon and a lot of melting happening too. But first we have to deal with the cold temperatures this morning, and we're looking at some numbers that are well below freezing. Our temperatures are into the 20s in Fargo, Grand Forks, and Thief River Falls, but check out your wind chills into the teens. So you're going to want to dress for this. Another day where you'll want the heavier coat or at least some layers, and you'll want to grab those snow boots or waterproof shoes yet again because we got a lot of melting coming up for this afternoon too. So dress like it's still winter on this April 1st is the bottom line, especially in Bemidji where we're at 10 degrees, no wind there. That's allowed our temperatures to drop pretty quickly. And so we're looking at a wind chill that is the same number. Fergus Falls, 19 degrees, feeling more like 13, and Devil's Lake, a little milder at 29 right now. I mentioned that wind, not very strong, but the direction is the key thing here. We're seeing it out of the south, and that south wind means air that's coming in out of a warmer place is making its way into the valley, and we'll start to see some conditions feel a lot milder as the day goes on. We're also watching out for the potential for some precipitation today. Most of us are on the quieter side and will remain so, but there is that isolated shot for a little mix, a little light mix. You can see that snow and rain down into South Dakota. That's going to be moving eastward. We'll have more cloud cover moving in associated with this. And then if you're right along the state line area, the North Dakota, South Dakota line, back over into west central Minnesota, that's where we may see a couple of spotty areas of some light mix, maybe a little rain, maybe a little light snow. And then this evening, as we start to warm things up today, that might be just enough to touch off a thunder shower or two. They'll be isolated, they'll be very light or not very weak, I should say, but still something to watch for on this April 1st. So going from frost to the potential for a little bit of thunder. And out at the bus stop, again, it's a little cool this morning. We'll have some sunshine mixed in the clouds with the clouds. The clouds will be on the increase this afternoon, getting into the 40s and 50s, and we keep that going into next week. So some very mild weather ahead.
Looking forward to that. Lisa, thank you.
A busy section of downtown Fargo will be blocked off for a few hours today. The city is shutting down 2nd Avenue north between Broadway and 5th Street so they can remove the skate shack at Broadway Square. The work should be done by noon.
And there is a week-long road closure in South Fargo starting on Monday. 4th Street South will be closed between 13th and 14th Avenues as crews finish the work on the Red River pump station in that area. Roadblocks will be up until about 4 p.m. on Friday. And road construction season is soon upon us, as we just mentioned, and Minnesota is out with its project list for the year. Work in our region will include reconstruction of Highway 87 in Frazee, widening the shoulder and replacing the bridge on Highway 200 between Mahnomen and Roy Lake, and resurfacing and redesigning intersections on Highway 71 north of Bemidji.
And if you're visiting the Twin Cities, like many of us do, be watching out for some major construction, detours, and delays on I-94 and I-35 East in St. Paul. The state DOT also wants to remind drivers to watch for reduced speeds, plan for delays, and especially during peak travel time, and do that zipper merge and give workers some room to safely complete their work. A 31-day statewide ban on all poultry sales and expos in Minnesota start today because of the bird flu. The ban includes all community sales, fairs, and expos and other events where poultry and other birds are brought together.
State health officials say the outbreak in Minnesota poses a high risk to poultry, but a low risk to the public. Meanwhile, the Red River Zoo is making changes to protect itself and prevent any spread of the bird flu. All of their waterfowl, wading birds, and chickens have been taken off exhibits, and the zoo is now modifying those bird exhibits. They have also temporarily suspended the practice of taking birds on zoo mobile outreach events, and they will not be acquiring any new birds this year.
They're also taking measures to discourage wild birds from nesting on zoo property. It's up to the air when the birds will go back to their outdoor exhibits, but they're also going to be inside at least through the summer.
A Grand Forks woman is accused of trying to kill her elderly father. Police say Cian Reese was arrested for allegedly stabbing her 82-year-old dad yesterday during an argument over a phone. It happened in the 100 block of Conklin Avenue near Riverside Park. Reese is now in jail on an attempted murder charge. Her father is in the hospital in stable condition.
Too slow and poorly coordinated. That's what an independent review says about Minnesota's response to days of civil unrest following the May 2020 killing of George Floyd. Wilder research says that there were several problems, including a lack of clear leadership early on. As businesses were being destroyed and set on fire, the report was commissioned by the Department of Public Safety and made public yesterday. It accuses police of using heavy-handed and violent tactics, being unresponsive to community needs, and responding slowly or not at all to crisis situations. Researchers say that first responders were either too overwhelmed or couldn't safely access those who needed help. Well, if you drove in through just a few miles of South Fargo, you might have noticed a small town of Horace is starting to look a little bit different.
You could say a lot different out there. The Valley Today's JC Dodd joins us live from downtown Horace with details on the rapid growth of that city. Good morning, JC.
That's right. It seems like every new street you turn on in Horace, there's some development going up, some kind of construction project, because it is growing exponentially fast. We've been talking all morning, but joining me live is the man and the name behind this massive expansion here in Horace. This is Mayor Corey Peterson. Now, Mayor Peterson, tell me, this growth, when did you realize, you've been mayor for 6 years, when did you realize that it was going to happen this fast?
Probably about 3 years ago is when we started noticing that it was going to be a little bit more exponential than we had thought. So like 3 years ago, we had like 80 homes, and then last year we had close to 300 permits issued, and this year we're probably going to be going over 400. So it's going upwards very quickly, and like I said, 3 years ago is when we started realizing this was probably going to start happening. So, but with that comes, you have to make sure you have the infrastructure to handle it. Everybody likes their toilets to flush one way, and everybody likes the clean water. So we have to make sure we're handling that as well to make sure we can continue the growth.
So while businesses and families flock here, you said almost 400 homes by next year. That's a 700% increase from 2016 when you first were elected mayor. So the infrastructure, what are some of the big projects you're working on for this year?
So this year we're going to be finishing off our water projects we got. We're redoing a lot of the older lines in town. We're also going to be hooking into Cass Rural Water because we're going to run out of our reserve in the aquifer, so we need to hook up where we can get the water supply. And then we're also planning to put together a project where we call Flush to Fargo, where we're going to be putting our sewage toward Fargo, and we're going to be able to sunset our lagoons. So we have the capacity that way, and that works out well.
So there's a lot happening in this small little rural town just south of the metro, trying to keep up with this rapid and massive expansion of growth.
JC Dodd reporting live. Big changes happening in Horace. Thank you this morning. President Joe Biden is trying to take some of the sting out of filling up your gas tank. The president is authorizing the release of 1 million barrels of oil per day from the nation's strategic petroleum reserve for 6 months.
The hope is it brings down high gasoline prices created in part by sanctions on Russia.
The Today Show and CBS Mornings are just about to start, but the Valley Today rolls on. You can find more live up-to-the-minute news and weather coming up on the Fargo CW. That's where you can find Lisa Green as she is tracking potential for trying to think of what it is. Yes, rain and thunder showers. That's the word. Lisa's nodding at me here this morning. Otherwise, have a great Friday and a better weekend. We'll see you here Monday morning.